The night the escape went wrong. Subscribe for more real crime stories. Like, share, and join the discussion below. Rain poured hard that night, slamming against the old stone walls of Brookdale Prison. The alarm screamed through the cold, dark air, red lights flashing like angry eyes. Guards shouted from every corner as chaos filled the courtyard. 3 inmates were running toward the outer fence, soaked and desperate. One of them, Jake Turner, had the keys. "Move. We're almost there," Jake yelled, his voice cracking through the storm. They had planned this night for months. Every detail, every guard shift, every blind spot. But something went wrong. The floodlights turned on too early. The backup power wasn't supposed to work. Someone had messed up the timing. As they reached the fence, a deafening bang echoed behind them, a gunshot. Then another. One of the inmates fell to the ground, clutching his chest. Jake froze for a second too long. The other, Marcus, screamed, "Go! Leave him!" Jake hesitated, rain dripping down his face, his heart pounding. He could see freedom, just one fence away, but his friend was bleeding out in the mud. Then the worst thing happened. The siren stopped. Everything went silent. That kind of silence you only hear before something terrible happens. Jake turned and saw them. Guards in full armor, flashlights cutting through the darkness, surrounding them from all sides. Marcus tried to climb the fence, but the current running through it sparked blue and white. He screamed as the electricity ripped through him. The smell of burning metal and rain filled the air. Jake stepped back, shaking, his escape plan falling apart right before his eyes. That was the night everything changed. The night the escape went wrong. 3 months earlier, the world inside Brookdale Prison was quiet, at least on the surface. Jake Turner was in for armed robbery, serving 10 years. He wasn't violent, but life behind bars had hardened him. His cellmate, Marcus Reed, was different, clever, calm, always watching. Together, they had one dream: to get out. They studied the guard shifts, drew maps on scraps of toilet paper, and paid favors with cigarettes. Marcus had a plan, a foolproof one, he said. There was an old drain tunnel that ran under the west wall, sealed years ago. But Marcus knew someone who could open it. They waited for the right night, a stormy night when no one would patrol the yard. Jake thought they could make it. He thought they could escape quietly. But something about Marcus's confidence fell off. Then one afternoon, a new inmate arrived, a tall, quiet man named Cole Rivers. Rumor had it, Cole used to work for the prison system before getting caught in his own crimes. The way he looked at Jake and Marcus made Jake uneasy. But they needed him. Cole claimed he could disable the cameras for exactly 3 minutes. That was all the time they'd get. As the days ticked down to their planned escape, Jake couldn't shake the feeling that someone knew. The guards acted strange. One even warned him, "Turner, stay out of trouble tonight." Jake brushed it off until the rain started. And that's when everything began to fall apart. The night air was heavy with rain and fear. The prison yard was chaos. Shouts, alarms, flashing red lights slicing through the darkness. Jake's chest heaved as he crouched behind a concrete barrier, soaked to the bone, his pulse thundering in his ears. Marcus was gone. The electric fence had taken him. His body still smoked faintly where he fell. Jake couldn't look at him again. He turned to Cole, who was crouched beside him, face pale but eyes sharp. "We move now," Cole hissed. "They'll sweep this side any second." Jake's hands trembled as he clutched the stolen keys. "You said this was foolproof. You said the power would be down." "It was supposed to be," Cole snapped. Someone flipped the backup early. Someone knew. That one word, knew, made Jake freeze. Someone inside the prison had betrayed them. Cole pointed to the drainage tunnel halfway across the yard. "That's our last shot. You get to it and you're free." Jake followed him, slipping and sliding through the mud as sirens wailed again. The cold rain mixed with the metallic smell of fear and blood. Guards' voices echoed closer, their flashlights cutting through the darkness like knives. They reached the old drain entrance, a rusted steel hatch half buried in dirt. Cole yanked it open, and the smell of rot and standing water poured out. Jake didn't care. Freedom was just a crawl away. He dropped inside first, landing in ankle-deep water. Cole followed, pulling the hatch closed above them. The sounds of shouting and gunfire muffled instantly. It was dark, pitch black. The only sound was the water dripping and their breath echoing down the tunnel. Jake's voice was barely a whisper. "Do you even know where this goes?" Cole didn't answer at first. "It should lead outside the south perimeter," he muttered. "Should." Then, from above, came the muffled slam of boots.
Guards.
They had found the hatch. "Keep moving," Cole barked.
Now.
They waded through the cold water, their footsteps echoing through the narrow space. The tunnel split into two paths. Cole stopped, scanning both directions like he could see in the dark. "Left," he said. Jake hesitated. He didn't trust him anymore. But the sound of metal scraping above made his decision for him. He followed. After several minutes of crawling, they saw a faint blue glow ahead, light from outside. Relief washed over Jake. "We made it," he whispered. But then Cole grabbed his arm hard. "Wait." The sound of engines rumbled outside. Headlights swept past the tunnel opening. Jake peered through a crack in the gate and froze. It wasn't freedom waiting out there. It was a convoy of armed guards. Cole swore under his breath. They knew every move. Jake turned on him. "You sold us out, didn't you?" Before Cole could answer, the tunnel behind them exploded with light, flashlights, and shouting voices echoing toward them. Jake's heart stopped. There was no way out. And then, out of the corner of his eye, he saw something, a loose side grate barely above the waterline. If they could just squeeze through. Cole grabbed Jake's arm again. "We go now." Jake didn't think. He shoved the grate open, it screeched loudly, and crawled through just as bullets ricocheted down the tunnel. The water splashed violently as they scrambled forward. Then Cole screamed. Jake turned back. Cole was caught. Something had snagged his foot. The guards' flashlights grew brighter, closer. Jake had one choice to make: go back and help Cole, or run for his life. He hesitated, torn, and then a gunshot boomed through the tunnel, echoing in his skull. The light behind him flickered red, and everything went still. The gunshot echoed down the tunnel, bouncing off the dripping walls until it faded into silence. Jake froze in the dark water, every muscle locked, his breath caught in his throat. The air smelled like wet metal and fear. He didn't know who had been hit, Cole or one of the guards, but the sound of something heavy splashing behind him told him everything. "Cole!" Jake whispered, voice shaking. No answer. Just the slow ripple of water. Then came the voices, guards shouting, boots splashing. "There! In the tunnel! Don't let him get away!" Jake didn't wait. He turned and ran, or tried to, as best as anyone could in waist-deep water. His boots sloshed, his heart pounding like a drum. Ahead of him, faint moonlight glimmered through the small grate they'd almost missed. The world outside was just a few feet away. Freedom. He threw his shoulder into the rusted bars, again and again, until one snapped loose. The gap was just big enough. He pushed through, scraping his arms and tearing his shirt, and crawled out into the cold night air. The rain had stopped, but the ground was slick and muddy. He stumbled up a small hill, gasping for air, his prison uniform clinging to his skin. Behind him, the tunnel echoed with voices. The guards were coming. He looked around wildly. He was outside the prison walls now. He could see them glowing in the distance, red and white lights flashing like an alarmed beast. But freedom didn't look peaceful. The field stretched endlessly, no cover, no buildings, nothing but the open dark. Jake ran anyway. Each step felt heavier than the last, his legs burning, lungs aching. His mind screamed one thing over and over. Keep going. But then headlights flashed ahead. He stopped, squinting. A black SUV sat parked just beyond the tree line, its engine running. Someone was standing beside it, a tall figure, holding a flashlight. Jake froze. Could it be help? Or another trap? The figure stepped closer. As the light hit his face, Jake's stomach dropped. It was Warden Hayes, the same man who'd once promised Jake a second chance if he kept his nose clean. Now, he looked calm, almost expectant. "I told you, Turner," Hayes said, voice low but clear. "There's no getting out of Brookdale." Jake's eyes darted to the side. He could run, but the field was wide open. No chance. His fists clenched. "You knew," he said slowly. "You set this up." Hayes didn't deny it. "Cole told us everything. The plan, the tunnel, the storm. We just had to wait for you to make your move." Jake's chest tightened. Betrayal hit harder than the rain ever did. Cole, the man who promised freedom, had sold them out. Behind him, flashlights approached fast. The guards were closing in. Jake's options were gone. He turned toward the SUV, eyes filled with anger and desperation. "You're not taking me back." Hayes sighed. "Don't make this worse, son." Jake took a slow step back, glancing over his shoulder. The field dropped sharply into a deep ravine. Below, the river raged, swollen from the night storm. The warden realized what he was thinking. "Jake, don't." But it was too late. Jake took one last look at the prison that stole his life, and jumped. The freezing water swallowed him instantly. The guards reached the edge seconds later, shouting, shining lights into the dark river below. But the current was strong, twisting and roaring into the woods. They searched for hours. No sign of him. By dawn, the river had calmed. The warden stood staring at the water, rain dripping from his coat. A deputy stepped beside him. "You think he made it?" Hayes didn't answer right away. He just looked down at the rushing water, jaw tight. "Doesn't matter," he said finally. "Either way, that was the night the escape went wrong." Would you like me to continue to Chapter 4, Final Chapter, where the truth about Cole's betrayal and Jake's fate is finally revealed?